Hey, what's up everybody? It's Lids and we're back for some more Mardek, and last time we were checking out ARCHAELOGISTS further, and this time, we're going to take a closer look at some of those items that we picked up at the shops, and there's a lot of them. So, one of them was the snake mail. Mostly we picked that up for Zack. It does of course still have fairly high defense and a little bit of magical defense, so there's maybe some reason to throw it on someone like Mardek. However, for the moment I think we'll probably pass there. The primary things that we wanted to do, I think, was first and foremost to consider putting on the air staff on Gloria, because it does have a couple of new skills for her. 3, in fact, if you include the offensive reaction. However, she's close, but not quite there yet in terms of mastering the abilities on the earth staff, so maybe that means doing a couple more battles first before we end up doing that. Probably also want to put on the night jacket, like I was saying last time. I think you'd have to make a pretty hard case for this not to be the best chestplate in the game, with its amazing resistances in addition to the Dark Resist passive ability. So, if there's someone who we could put this on, that seems like that would be very worthwhile. Anyone who has finished learning all the skills from their own chestplate. Mardek is actually quite close. Gloria isn't there yet from a magic defensive reaction standpoint, and that's going to take a little while for that to happen. Oh! Elian appears not to have her physical defensive reaction equipped. I'm pretty sure she had a bunch of physical defensive reactions, and this was probably the weakest one, so at the time we were thinking, yeah, you know, we would rather, if we had to choose, go with something like, I think it was a 50% chance of her evading attacks, but it would be useful for us to master this one, even if it's not as good, so that we could at least move on and put a different chestplate on in its place. Then, as for Meriador, also very close to finishing his defensive reactions here, but not quite there yet. So maybe that's reason for us to continue to do a few more fights in here, because of course, we are trying to get to the point where we have defeated plenty of the thugs here, in order to help out that guard who's looking to rid the area of crime at least a little bit. So we'll see what we can do to help him out. However, it seems as though all of the thugs have gone away, because none of them want to fight us right now, apparently. Even if we are deliberately making a point of trying to walk around and encounter them. Here they are. Alright, so there are a couple. And let's just use Spirit Song with Elwian. Well, I flat out missed that, and that is kind of a bad thing, because, you know, the whole point of us doing this right now is for us to get those defensive reactions. For the most part, at least. So, Meriador, you can use your Thermal Spanner here. Get some attacks in, and unfortunately no numb there. So I'm pretty sure that these guys only use physical attacks, which would mean that if you were to get that numb effect, then whoever it applied to wouldn't be able to do much of anything. As for Gloria here, I believe you are quite close to mastering some of those abilities that are on your staff. Earth Heal, I don't remember if that's where it's coming from, but even though we don't really need it right now, well, maybe we wait a turn for that and instead focus on Razor Leaf. That seems like that's perhaps a little more relevant right now, at least. And in fact, she does level up. That's another thing that maybe we should look at is, do we have the ability to equip some more skills? Mardek takes out the other guy. And I do really like Elwian's animation at the end of the fights. Jumping for joy. Okay, so, let's see. Do we have extra RP anywhere? Mardek's close, but not quite able to throw on Quarry Undead. And he's close to finishing the physical light reaction. I think, based on what we were saying earlier here, about how we had to unequip Soak 10 in order to put on other defensive abilities here, I don't think that Mardek has picked up any more RP since we last checked on his stuff. I suppose that's not to say that he might have also found other items that would potentially allow him to learn new skills, like we did put on the Evening Star, which is the one that gives him the double AP. However, as we were saying earlier, double gold and double AP would cost 20 RP collectively for him to do those simultaneously, and that is certainly not something he can do yet. So that might be reason for us to take off the Evening Star and put something else on in its place, because the Evening Star, mostly, the reason why you would use it is for double AP and not much else, so probably a better item to put in its place. Gloria, you did just level, so you might have picked up a new RP to use. However, it seems like, for the most part, you just don't have enough skills to put much RP to use, so it may not matter for her, at least not at the moment. Elwian, so we were just saying for you, yes, you do have the 50% evasion, which is arguably your strongest reaction here, other than maybe survival, which you can't even learn at this point because it has more RP than... It costs more RP than you have right now. So I think it might make sense for us to put on the minus 10% physical damage here. And then we can throw on Dark as well. Point there being that, like we were saying previously, if we could at least master this, this would allow Elwian to put on a different chest plate. And yes, minus 10% physical damage is probably nowhere near as good as 50% evasion, but at least to give her the option of putting on new things going forward, that would be nice for us to be able to do. So, okay, let's move on then. Maybe fight one more round of thugs, and then we'll check in with the guard here. See if we have met our quota. I did do a little bit of thug fighting in between episodes here, so we should be pretty darn close, if not there already. Although, again, the thugs seem to have magically disappeared from this area. They don't seem to want to show up anymore. There they are. And it's just one of them this time. We could even have Elwian use an attack here. And so she can land a hit, she can deal damage. In fact, I think we saw that she has higher base damage than Gloria does, at least in terms of her attack. 20 versus 16, however, Gloria has 12 strength versus Elwian's just 8. Meridor, you could take this guy out here, however, I think we actually pass on this occasion. Because Gloria was getting close to mastering Razor Leaf. That will not be enough for her to do that. So we'll throw on some better potions, and this is also a little bit of an opportunity to get more coins, as I think we may have been mentioning last time. We spent a whole lot of them, but we're back up to 13,000 now at this point, so we might be able to purchase some of those other items that we were talking about previously that we weren't quite able to afford just yet. Great job! You got 29 of those thugs. Turns out you really could handle it. The city is a better place, thanks to you. Here's your reward. Sorry, it's nothing great, but you can sell it if it's no use to you, I think. Huh? Okay, so we can check our inventory here, but at least at first glance, I'm not noticing anything popping out to me as something that we've not yet picked up. Mardek does, of course, currently have a full inventory, so I do wonder if maybe that kind of means that an item that he would have given us, he didn't end up giving us, might be kind of, sort of, a little bit of a bug, I'm not sure. Because I don't even think there's anything new here on Gloria. I would have thought that if Mardek's inventory was full, maybe he would give the item to the next person. No new items for Elwian or Meridor. So we'll have to double check what that one was, but hopefully that doesn't mean we need to go back and make sure we talk to this guy when we have some actual inventory space for Mardek. But okay, so let's keep moving on though. And if in fact we did miss out on anything there, then we'll find a way to get it back. But what I want to do here is check out one of the two other areas in the city, because there are a couple. There's the District of the Mind over here, is I believe what we'll find. This leads to Market Street, as you should already know by now. There you can buy shoddy goods and get the hell out of our glorious city, foreigner scum. Thank you. Always so welcome. I was really scared when I heard that Social Fox died, because we sort of need powerful adventurers to save us all the time, because for some reason, our armies and stuff are utterly useless. We just sort of sit there, panicking whenever there's a big threat, like a dragon or something. But I'm really happy now, because it seems another grand adventurer is climbing the ladder of adventuredom, aiming for the skies. Lone Wolf, he called himself. He was actually in the city a while ago, and I saw him. Wow. He was wearing this green armor and had long, flowing, straw-colored hair and this really wicked wolf-headed helmet thing. He was, like, so cool. Huh. Okay, that might actually be the first physical description of Lone Wolf here, in terms of what he looks like. I have the greatest beard ever. You must bow before the might and brilliance of my immense facial hair. Some guy in the north claims that his puny brown beard is superior to mine. Ha! I spit on him and his family of tick-infested mongoose lickers. Okay, maybe a little too much information there. The Gosnor shaman, on the other hand, I envy him and look up to him as if he were a god. Oh, how I wish my beard could be as long as his. One day. Maybe one day. More about Lone Wolf, at least according to Guardbert. Lone Wolf seems to use a greatsword. This leads me to believe that Social Fox didn't die after all, but merely wanted a personality change. So he came back as a new, masked adventurer. I mean, how many greatsword wielders can there be in one world? Pretty sure you have a large two-handed greatsword strapped to your back right now. Just thought that would be worth noting. And what is this place here? Maybe another shop? Sounds like it. Hi, how are you today? Good? That's good. What would you like to purchase? Okay, so, looks like, based on how these things are grayed out, maybe a bunch of things that we cannot currently afford. It's a stole, +2. It's a blue stole, you know, a stole. This type enhances magical abilities. So it is a piece of armor, and, well, we can't really buy one for example's sake right now, because, like I said, we can't afford anything of that variety at the moment. Cheapest one costs almost 18,000 coins, which we're kinda close to being able to afford that, but we're not there yet. And then there's a +2, +4, and a +6 version of the blue, green, and red stoles. Let's at least take a look at what they do. So depending on which type they are, they have +2 magic defense and physical defense, +4 in the case of the +4 stoles, or +6 in the case of the +6 stoles, regardless of the color. Other than that, we find that the blue ones give +1 spirit for the weakest versions, then +2, then +3 for the strongest versions, which we've seen some items, not in the case of spirit, that have given the +1 spirit skill, though it seems like that's generally what the most common gems that we find, oftentimes from fairly common enemies, drop. Then we found, at least in the case of a strength, a +2 item there with a ruby. Nothing yet for +2 spirit, but +3. I think we will find that these stoles are actually one of, if not the only way, of getting that +3 skill. So if we're looking to stack as much of an attribute as possible, then these Azure Stoles are a good way to do it, because the +2 versions give +2 in terms of the flat stat of the corresponding attribute that goes along with that color. So blue is spirit, green is vitality, and then red is strength. So no agility versions there, but other than that, we could have any of the other attributes scaled here. The other thing of note is that we see there are a bunch of essences, and we've had reason to want to pick some of these up. I believe, Heather, we were saying previously, there's a good item at the blacksmith that we wanted one of these for. We have not yet found any other ways of getting it. It is 2,000 coins, which is affordable, but still, I mean, we're kind of looking to pinch some pennies at this point, right? The other thing that catches my attention is we have some sheet music, which is, of course, something that we could use to get a new skill for Elwian, because that is functionally her shield. Sheet music for a piece titled Requiem, which deals heavy damage to undead opponents. Interesting, so at the moment, the only sheet music we have is Spirit Song, which boosts magic power of all of Elwian's allies. This would be much more offensive, at least against undead. It does cost 10,000, which is certainly not cheap, but that does mean we could theoretically afford both the Ether Essence and the sheet music. The other thing that I'm seeing here is a Candriathope, which is, full disclosure, another one of those items that only has a limited quantity. So this one, there's only one that you can purchase from this shop. It is 12,000. Let's see what it's all about, though. 1 defense, 1 magic defense. This Candriathope is basically will in physical form. Whenever sentient beings show great devotion to a cause or great mental discipline, Candriathope crystallizes somewhere in far-off mountains. and it has a passive ability for plus 20% experience. Not quite as long to learn as some of the other more meta abilities like double AP or double gold, but that still could be quite useful for us. It has plus 1 defense, plus 1 physical defense. It is big elemental and plus 1 to all attributes. So the thing about this, though, is that it is an item that is a crafting component for some very strong pieces of gear at the blacksmith, and because there's only a finite quantity, this is another one of those limited resources that you want to be very mindful of how you use. So at some point we will definitely want to pick this up. As for whether we feel the need to do it right now, maybe not, because I do think that Ether Essence might have been the last ingredient that we needed for one item. So let's pick that up. And then let's also pick up the sheet music, because that's something that we could use immediately on Elwyn. In fact, why don't we swap it in right now? Okay. So we'll definitely want to head back over there at some point as well when we're a little more stocked up on monies. And these really look like doors, but you cannot go through that building at least. Other than that, let's take a look at what else is in this area. So it seems as though there's more up here, whatever this building is. Come and visit the museum here to stimulate your mind, if you know what I mean. I promise you, you'll have the most fun you've ever had, looking at the exhibits of ancient artifacts, if you catch my drift. Wait. Huh? I mean, I get what you're trying to say, but I don't really think you're pulling it off. There's a large volcano to the south of Aeropolis. If it were to erupt, I wouldn't be surprised if the lava flowed all the way here and engulfed the entire city. You do bonus damage too, since it's fire and this place is air. Ah! Uh-oh. Okay. Yeah, well, that is impressive. Looks like you got some good stuff here at the museum. As for the curator here, hello there. Are you enjoying the museum? Well, we did just get here and haven't actually looked at much of anything, but sure. I hope so, because I'm the curator of it. I own it. Well, it's, nice. But it's not! Oh, I'm sorry to suggest such a thing. I didn't realize. The exhibits are too few and too boring. I collected them all myself, you see. This is all I have to show for life's work. A few baubles of no interest to anyone at all. Oh, misery. Oh, woe. If only someone else could contribute to the museum. If only some lucky young adventurers could travel into dungeons and collect various ancient artifacts for my displays. If they did, I'd be sure to remunerate them adequately. Oh, if only. Then I'd die happy. So, see, but the thing is, we, have done just that. As you may remember, at various points in times, we have found artifacts, such as the Sun Idol, Reptoid Spearhead, Talisman of Shumbara, even this ancient pot that we purchased here in Aeropolis. And those are the types of things that, well, an artifact collector such as this guy might find useful. Oh, is that a Sun Idol you have there? I haven't seen one of those in ages. Or ever, in fact. Though I have read about them. They're from an age where people actually used to take Solok seriously. Where everyone and their dog used to pray to him, for the sun to rise each morning and so on. It took us quite a number of generations to realize that the sun would rise whether or not we prayed or even sacrificed to Solok. But when we eventually did, Solok went forgotten. A joke even. A shame, that. I will pay 10,000 gold to take that sun idol off your hands. It's no use to you and deeply interesting to me, so we both win. Do we have a deal? I'd say yes, absolutely. Thanks a lot, sir. You've made my life just a little bit better, and I'm sure the visitors will love ogling it too. You've brought me one artifact so far. Great! But I'd still like more if you can find any. So we do have more. The artifacts you've brought me are as follows. The Sun Idol. So, this guy is the person who will purchase any and all artifacts that we find from us, and in doing so, we can accumulate, hopefully, a fair share of coins here because, well, we need them. And if the Sun Idol is any indicator, it does seem as though some of these could be worth a fair bit. Is that a reptoid spearhead you have there? Those things are extremely rare and valuable to collectors such as myself. They may not have much practical use anymore, but they tell tales of a time long past when the reptoids were still mere savages. Well, I mean, there are people who'd argue they still are savages, but those people are idiots. You might be the only person that we've ever seen defend the reptoids like that. I will pay 8,000 gold to take that reptoid spearhead off your hands. It's no use to you and deeply interesting to me, so we both win. Do we have a deal? Sounds good. Not worth quite as much as the Sun Idol, but we'll take it. So we've now brought 2 artifacts. And I believe we do have more. Is that a talisman of the dark god Shumbra? My, it is. And it's not even an imitation. A talisman like that can only be found in a place that Shumbra himself has had influence. Tell me, did you get that from the Dark Temple itself? I must have it. I will pay 15,000 gold to take that talisman of Shumbra off your hands. It's no use to you and deeply interesting to me, so we both win. You have a deal. That definitely sounds good. Valuable, most valuable one we've seen thus far. So now we've given 3 artifacts. And we might still have 1, maybe even 2 more. Like the ancient pot that we purchased for, I think it was 1,000 gold from one of the peddlers earlier in town. So I am curious what this one will resell for. Will we make a profit off of it? We might. I will pay 1,200 gold to take that ancient pot off your hands. It's no use to you and deeply interesting to me, so we both win. Do we have a deal? That does mean 200 gold profit. Nowhere near as much as the other items, but I mean, that one was nowhere near as difficult to acquire as the others. So, sure. So that's 4 now that we've given. And you'll see that we did just get some sheet music. So what that means is that the more of these artifacts we give this guy, of course we'll continue to get more coins, yes. But he will occasionally also give us powerful items as well. So that, right there, we'll take a look at what it was. I believe it was this one here. Sheet music for a piece titled Runic Rhapsody, which boosts the magical defense of all enemies while it plays. So we have one that boosts the magical power, but now this will be magical defense. So that could be useful too, depending on the situation. And we might have one more artifact. I'm not sure if we do or not. Doesn't seem like it, based on how he's not saying you have another one. Okay, so we'll be on the lookout for those going forward, because that will continue to be a lucrative thing for us to do. I don't really know a whole lot about Eltham's past, to be honest. Do you? I wonder if there's even one written. Is the setting that in-depth? I suppose if it was, the exhibits would make it clearer. I don't know, you might be onto something there. I don't think we've spoken to this gentleman yet, who appears to be looking at what might be some kind of dinosaur skeleton? Is this a dragon? The beast I've heard so many stories about? This? It looks puny and small and weak. I could beat it up. It has no muscle at all. Clearly, everyone in the world is just a wimp. You do know that's a skeleton, right? Why do we humans feel such fascination with the past? Do we long for it? Does it give us satisfaction, knowing how much better we have become? It's mystery to me. That's an interesting question. What is that? It's hard to tell, and the plaque thing just says, exhibit. What sort of museum is this? Is that what they all say? Exhibit. It's an exhibit showing an unremarkable and forgettable ancient relic of some kind. Okay, yeah, maybe this guy, maybe he does have a reason for picking up all these ancient artifacts from us. Is that the case for all these? Empty exhibit. For some reason, this case is empty. These ones? More unremarkable things? This one here looks like it certainly has something. It's a display showing small replicas of 7 elemental crystals. There are 6 circling one in the center, which is slightly larger than the rest. The crystals, it says, are the source of all of Belfan's power. Fire, water, earth, air, the natural crystals keep nature alive. Light, dark, the moral crystals keep human behaviors in check, keeping the world in balance. Ether. This legendary crystal is supposedly the heart of the planet, the connection between this world and the spirit realm, but it has never been seen, only hypothesized and heard of in stories. Okay, and those are, of course, the very crystals that we're trying to nab ourselves. Let's take a look here, see what else we may have in this area. It does look like there's one more building up top here. So let's look there. And more people as well to speak to. It's a bloke. This here's a library. There are many books in it. I doubt a northern knight like yourself would be the least bit interested in that. I bet you're not even literate. How dare you even suggest such a thing? Oh my goodness. There are a lot of books in here. I feel like it would take us a very long time to read all of them. Maybe that's an effort for a future occasion. Let's at least speak to the people here, though. Welcome to our enormous library. Yeah, you got that right. For a knight, please find within all the knowledge that you are looking for. Yes, hello. I'm looking for a book of magic. It's called The Necromantic Tome? Just, the Necromantic Tome. Meridor, you know, like, yeah, I mean, you do want to get one of those books, but at the same time, I feel like maybe asking the front desk is not the best place to do that. Yeah, I suppose most likely for them to be able to direct you to the right place, but probably gonna get some odd looks here and there. You want that? I see. You don't look like the usual type. This is a light elemental person who, perhaps understandably, is a tad suspicious that Meridor's seemingly trying to perform some necromancy here. Unless you're one of those sorts, I'm not sure we want to know. Even still, you don't look the type. Either way, unfortunately, that book is not in at the moment. It was borrowed last by someone who did look the type, and, unsurprisingly, he's yet to bring it back. It's been quite a while. Oh, that's a shame. Do you know where we could find another copy? I could just tell you where the other person is from if you like, and you could go and get it back from him. I feel like that is probably illegal in some way, shape, or form in most places, but apparently not here, so okay. Isn't that illegal? With books like this, we make exceptions. He's had it for long enough, and it's likely that, unless you go and get it back, we'll never have it returned. He's likely in no state to return it right now anyway. I see. I suppose so? He was a dark, brooding man who wrote his name as Saul, though those sorts rarely write their real names. He seems to live deep in the Canonia woods in the north. Here, I shall mark his location on your map. Oh, okay. Very helpful, actually. Thank you, then. Why would you even keep a book of such power in this public library for anyone to borrow? That is a good question, Rohoff. I was kind of thinking the same thing. Oh, well, we have all sorts of books of power here. There was some time in the past where only the Sultan or various wizards or shamans were allowed to possess them. There was some political thing that gave everyone the right to them, blah blah, etc. It's only really relevant to your quest, though, is it? All that matters is that you have a way to get your magic book. Usually, the people who borrow them can't even use them because they require advanced training to make the magic work in the first place. We also keep track of everyone who borrows them, so then we can track them down later, if need be. Mardek, we must head to this person's house. Knowing that the contents of the book will likely be dangerous, but we must. In fact, we must do so especially if it is in the wrong hands. Well, okay, let's go. Alright, so that is one thing we were looking for, was to pick up information, at least, of that book, where it might be. I mean, we were originally hoping it would be here in this library, but it is the book that, remember, Meridor is looking to acquire, such that he can have someone, seems like likely Gloria, because she is our strongest magician at the moment, to perform some kind of necromantic ritual in order to, hopefully, get the ability to bring a soul from the soul plane to embody the metal man that he's created? I don't know. Still seems a little bit questionable to me, but I suppose if Meriador wants to do it, then we can give it a shot. So with that, I think this is probably a good place for us to wrap up here. And next time, we will, well, possibly look even further into the District of the Mind here in Aeropolis, and maybe the Temple District as well. And now we can also have our sights set on that area in the Canonia Woods, where supposedly we might be able to track down that book. So I'll see you then.